Sadiqa, a wealthy woman from Kabul, has made the long journey up here with an agent, Nargis. Sadiqa, in the leather coat, has come shopping. And our team will have to move carefully here. It's not clear they'll be able to film what's about to happen. Because Sadiqa has come to buy a child, a boy, obviously. Nobody wants a girl. And in the desperate poverty of Chalet refugee camp, a father, Nek Mohammed, is willing to sell a son. It is the only way he can feed the other children through the coming winter. She wants to buy Qasem, who's 8 years old. Nargis, the agent, has already bought one of Qasem's brothers. The father, Nek Mohammed, begs to know how that boy's doing in Kabul. He's fine, they say. And Sadiqa buys the other son, Qasem. Say your goodbyes now. It's time to go, she says. At this point, our translator had to ask, surely this is wrong.
Yes, you are right. It's cruel, but I have two aims here. First, to give this boy a bright future and a good education. And second, to save their other children. The winter is coming, and I have given them money so the children don't die of hunger.
The going rate for an 8-year-old boy in Afghanistan today, $1,500.
I sold a piece of my heart to stop my 4 other children dying of hunger. I don't have an elder son. I'm also sick. My kidney is failing. My body is in pain.
These grainy images of a supermarket security camera record a young child being abducted. A woman leaves, followed by the child, who appears distressed. The woman has taken the little girl's umbrella. Outside, the child will vanish, like tens of thousands of others before her. Chai Ching Kwan's daughter was abducted on June the 27th, 2007. These are the last pictures of her.
是啊，我每天都看，每天都在研究，但是没办法研究不出来。这个女人就本来那天是她生日嘛，本来我们晚上就准备跟她过生日了嘛，后来连生日都过不成了，从一个快乐的日子变成了悲伤的日子。
Here in Shenzhen, a teeming industrial hub, criminal gangs target the children of migrant workers like Mr. and Mrs. Chai because they're transient, often fearful of the police, and whose grievances are rarely treated as high priorities. Mrs. Chai was distracted by exhaustion on the afternoon her child was taken, and so blames herself for what happened. The past 2 years have taken their toll on Mrs. Chai. She doesn't sleep much at night and struggles to stay awake in the day.
中国现在来说，每天每时每刻都在钓小孩，是不是啊？案件发生了那么多，是吧？ 好像这个买卖孩子就像一种买卖一样，一种生意，就是说像一种商品，我拉到这边卖，你拉到那边卖，就是这样已经形成了这样的现象了。
Out in the real world, the Danes are now going global with another icon. Denmark has become the world leader in wind power technology.
So this is just another day at the office for you, eh?
Not quite, but...
Katrina Heilman is part of the wind power revolution. As an engineer, she keeps the blades spinning. We head out of Copenhagen Harbour to Denmark's first offshore wind farm, built just 9 years ago. 5,500 wind turbines now arc across the country, generating 20% of the nation's power. The target, an ambitious 50% in 15 years' time.
Why build the wind park offshore? Why not put them...
Because the energy in the wind is higher on sea than on land. The surface of the ocean is not disturbing the wind as much, so we can get more energy out of the wind.
The 20 turbines generate 40 megawatts of power, enough electricity for 40,000 Copenhagen households.
From water to the top, they are 102 meters high, up to the tip of the wing. I think it's beautiful.
But where Katrina sees beauty and function, other Danes see a blight on the landscape. Another reason why the turbines are out here.
People don't like a wind turbine in their backyard.
Why not?
They are noisy, as you can hear.
They are quite noisy.
Yeah, it is. And they're big and large, and a lot of people don't find them very beautiful.
כשחזרנו היה בו פתאום צבא 30 איש של הצבא. לא נתנו לנו לחזור. 15 ימים לא יכולנו להיכנס. מצאתי הכל הרוס. בהתחלה אמרו לי בצבא, אנחנו ניתן לך להיכנס מהבלט הגדול הזה, והצבא יפתח לך פעמיים, כל 24 שעות פעמיים. אז מה אני הרווחתי אם הוא אמר לי, אני אבוא יפתח לך, והוא לא יבוא. חייל יכול להיות חייל טוב, מותורבת טוב, יכול להיות חייל רע. אני לא מדבר על זה, אני מדבר מאיפה הוא מקבל את ההוראות. מי נותן לו? נותן לו בן אדם... אני מתבייש להגיד עליו בן אדם, למה שהוא לא בן אדם? אז אמרתי לו, אתה שמת אותי בתוך כלוב, ואני מבקש לתת לי דלת שאני לפחות, מתי שאני צריך לצאת, אני יכול לצאת, ומתי שאני צריך להיכנס, אני אוכל להיכנס. אמר לי, בסדר, אני נותן לך, אבל אם מישהו ייכנס מבוא, אנחנו נרוס לך את הבית.
When a US soldier is wounded on the battlefield, there is only one thing he or his medic wants to hear. Dust off is inbound. It's a story that has always fascinated me. And in May 2007, during an embed with US forces in Afghanistan, I got to see it, up close and personal. We had been caught in an ambush, and 12 of us lay bleeding and moaning, while 18 more were dead. Lying on a stretcher, suffering from a severe gunshot wound myself, I had to fight with the soldiers around me to get them to pick up my camera and photograph me. Then I took this photograph of a wounded US soldier being treated beside me. Later, I was asked how I got the soldier's permission to take the picture. The simple truth, of course, was I didn't. I thought I was dying, and I was just shooting photographs on autopilot, barely able to think or talk. And even if I'd had the strength to ask, I doubt he could have answered. Recently, there has been much talk of censorship coming out of America's other war in Iraq, with new embedding rules making written permission from a wounded soldier a prerequisite for shooting stills or video. This is not the case in Afghanistan, yet. After I recovered from my injury, I returned to Afghanistan. One of the main stories I wanted to cover was dust-off. A dust-off crew had flown into a dangerous area, picked me up, and delivered me to a field hospital. Without doubt, their actions saved my life. Now, I wanted to see what their lives were like. In July 2008, at the height of the fighting season, I spent a week with a dust-off crew. Working from a small remote base in the east of the country, they lived together in one small room. Never more than an arm's length from a radio, they were in a state of constant readiness.
At this farmers' rally in central Java, tobacco triumphs over theology. The giant cigarette is inscribed with the words, "Cigarettes are not poison." The banner behind reads, "Revoke the MUI edict. It's amoral, barbaric." In the end, the MUI decided that it's only children and pregnant women who are forbidden to smoke. Even that was enough to provoke a life or death response from Java's tobacco farmers. Pressure from the tobacco industry has successfully kept the government from raising cigarette taxes. Hand-rolling of Kretex is a frenzied display of human dexterity. These have twice the nicotine and 3 times the tar of regular cigarettes. As thousands of Indonesians perish each week, tobacco companies prosper. After all, here is a marketplace with next to no regulatory hurdles. For big tobacco, under siege in the shrinking markets of the developed world, this is a golden opportunity for growth. The big players are swooping in for the kill. This year, British American Tobacco, the makers of Lucky Strike, paid more than $600 million for a majority stake in Bentoel, a smaller Indonesian tobacco company. Sampurna is one of Indonesia's big 3 tobacco giants. It was bought in 2005 by the world's largest tobacco corporation, Philip Morris International, the creators of Marlboro and the Marlboro Man. Over the years, Sampurna's products could be credited with millions of premature deaths.
Come to where the flavor is. Come to Marlboro country.
At the city hospital, you find them, scores of civilians. The doctors say they have space for 80 patients here, yet they treat over 200, including this 12-year-old girl who's been shot. By which side or why, nobody can say.
Because of the bullet?
Yeah, because of the bullet. The bullet is in the neck of... She cannot move the legs and arms. She cannot move. She cannot sit.
Soldier, I'm soldier.
This place is no sanctuary from the fighting, for Islamist gunmen have threatened to kill the chief doctor, accusing him and his staff of treating unbelievers. So it's a wonder the doctors turn up for work at all, as the casualty numbers ebb and flow.
It depends on what happens in the city. When there's war, the hospital is busy. When the city is quiet, the hospital is quiet as well. But the overall situation is getting worse, day by day.
These distressing scenes from last month are a case in point. There was fighting around the docks, but a mortar hit this medical centre, killing several disabled men in their wheelchairs and turning what was a kitchen into a gruesome morgue. At least 2 children also lost their lives here.
How old?
14 years old and 13 years old.
Now incense is burnt to get rid of the stench of death, and the bodies are prepared for burial.
We don't have that.
You don't know?
Mortar from... The mortar.
Mortar?
Yes.
But who?
Inside.
Shabab, who?
I don't know.
You don't know?
Yes, we don't know.
There is a semblance of authority amid the ruins. This building may have no windows, but it's the nerve centre of the Somali Navy. Inside a full admiral and his adjutants in their peaked caps, pledging to clean up Somalia's notorious pirate-infested waters.
We have a very strong will, and we believe that we as Navy officers can do something to calm the waters in this area and get rid of the pirates.
The Admiral's motley crew of Marines seems raring to go, even if they are wearing the caps of the Spanish football team, Real Madrid. But there's a far bigger problem. Somalia's entire fleet has been stolen, and right now the Admiral commands no ships at all.
Nobody knows where they are. They were stolen.
The Admiral took our cameraman down to his coastline, through defences levelled flat, like the set of a Hollywood disaster movie. In April, the international community pledged $200 million to Somalia's so-called government, but the money, like the Admiral's navy, is nowhere to be seen.
Everywhere he goes, an army of red-shirted supporters follows. They're called Chavistas, meaning little Chavezes. Some left-wing priests insist Jesus is with the president too.
Yo quiero que toques a ese Cristo porque te vamos a consagrar al Señor. Vamos a extender nuestras manos hacia el Señor presidente.
The Mass marked the 20th anniversary of anti-government riots. Before Hugo Chavez, Venezuela's rich white leaders all but ignored the poor. Chavez, like most Venezuelans, is of mixed indigenous descent, and he's made it his mission to punish the old elite.
En la sociedad capitalista, ¿qué es lo que reina? La desigualdad. La desigualdad más irracional, salvaje. Y por tanto la injusticia, y por tanto la violencia social. La explotación del hombre por el hombre, como decía Carlos Marx. El reino de Dios aquí en la tierra es el socialismo.
Amén.
Caracas today feels a bit like Latin America in the 1970s, when socialism seemed the way of the future. But Chavez has enjoyed something that failed left-wing movements of the past never had: oil. He's nationalised the oil industry and ploughed its billions into his revolution, building health clinics, subsidised food markets and universities for the poor. Even his critics concede he's a formidable and charismatic politician. Moises Naim is a former Venezuelan trade minister who now edits the prestigious Foreign Policy magazine in Washington.
Venezuela, like many developing countries, is a deeply polarized, unequal, unjust country. And he has been very effective in using that inequality, the injustices, and the history of failures to really command great support and popularity.
Along the way, he became a hero to Latin America, showering his neighbours with aid and leading an anti-US bloc with Cuba. At the United Nations, he branded George Bush the Antichrist. Venezuela's quandary is that oil is the lifeblood of its economy. With so many businesses folding, it now depends on crude for 95% of its export revenue.
The truth is that the high oil prices have allowed the President Chavez to mask the fact that he has destroyed the economy. Today, Venezuela's economy is essentially, deeply dependent on oil. That was always the case, but under President Chavez, that has been taken to an extreme. The amount of job destruction that has taken place in Venezuela in the private sector is unprecedented.
Almost every company he's nationalised and stacked with Chavistas has turned into a loss maker. The workers' jobs now have to be subsidised by the state. Maria Rea is paid to make clothes for government workers, like red vests for Chavista rallies.
Yo como nivel yo me siento bien, porque te digo sinceramente, tengo mis hijos, gracias a Dios los tengo estudiando, donde ya son universitarios. Y prácticamente si no fuera por este presidente a lo mejor no hubiese pisado una universidad. Esto es lo máximo. Sí, señor, como presidente es lo máximo. En todos los sentidos es un hombre que se ha preocupado por su pueblo.
What's left of the private sector isn't creating jobs, it's fighting for survival.
So this is the original house?
Yes, actually, this is the house where the hacienda was founded in 1796.
Alberto Volmer is one of the last big entrepreneurs left in the country. His family-owned rum distillery has lasted 2 centuries, so he's determined to make it outlast Chavez.
We're always talking about the 200 years, and we're thinking about how do you keep this going for at least another 200 years. You know, the few companies that were producing in Venezuela have either gone to Colombia or Costa Rica, or they've just been closed down and they're being imported from other countries. You know, I just sometimes wish that Chavez were to realize how important it is to have companies and to have private sector in Venezuela, and it adds so much value to the country. You know, one just feels has this feeling of wasting time.
In a hilltop village in Yemen, Arwa is playing hide and seek with her friends. What makes Arwa unusual is the fact that at 10 years old, she's already been married and divorced. The 35-year-old man promised Arwa's family over £1,000 for her hand, and her father, desperate for money to support his family, agreed, on condition that he didn't sleep with her for another 4 years. The husband moved in, but before long, his behaviour became unbearable.
بعدين يوقف يشيلها يطعن المكالف والأولاد هذا الزغرية محمد يبزبه ويرجع لا يدخلش هذا المكان واستحله 8 شهور
قسمه لا واللي سيرتي لا لا بيش هي فكري
بعد قال كل البنت واللي يشتكي أنا إحنا تعبنا إحنا حسرنا لا معنا فلوس ولا إحنا أرواحنا رايحين هلك واللي بزونا حتى يقاسوي ولا كيف ما عمل المحكمة عملوا وصل اشتكى البنت وصل عند الحكم قلنا له هذا وراسي قصوني المهم نخطأ.
But things got even worse, and when the man tried to molest Awa, she ran away to the nearest hospital. A local charity, Siaj, were called and took care of her until she was successfully divorced. Arwa's lawyer, Shada Nasser, has long campaigned for a legal minimum age for marriage to protect girls such as Arwa.
According to my opinion, I think it is not a marriage, it is rape children, because you cannot compare, or we cannot find a good balance between the husband and the girl. It is not marriage, it's only rape.
As darkness fell in the Kalaba district, 10 heavily armed young men trained by radical Islamic group Lasker al-Taiba were in rubber dinghies preparing for landfall. They spread out in pairs across the city, some towards luxury hotels. Next to the landmark Trident Hotel sits its smaller sister hotel, the Oberoi. An 11-person trade delegation from New South Wales was checking in at the Oberoi. Some had already retired for the night.
All of a sudden there were explosions in the hotel, massive noise, sounds of what certainly I thought was gunfire and grenades going off.
The terrorists swept through the lobby of the Trident Hotel, killing 7 staff. On this security camera footage, one gunman blasts a computer behind the desk. The 2 Pakistani men in their early 20s then make their way to the foyer of the Oberoi. The open atrium plan would make it very easy for just 2 gunmen to control the whole hotel.
Smoke bombs in the hotel were set off, must have been very quickly after the first round of shooting, and grenades went off.
I looked down to the lobby and just saw the guy running across and firing shots, and that's when it really hit home, and I thought, you know, we're in trouble here. So I just ran to my room and barricaded myself. You can hear the gun fire in the background. I'm not too sure who's firing that.
They were trapped, but still in touch with the outside world. Callers to their mobile phones and the news channels were telling them of their chilling predicament. The terrorists were stalking the corridors, hunting Westerners. Deborah Bain was joined by another Australian delegate. They smashed windows in their 19th floor room to escape the smoke.
We sat for the next half hour or so either end with our heads outside, just breathing to stay alive.
People think I'm vain because, like, I say things sometimes, like, oh, I'm gorgeous, I'm this and I'm that, but, like, you say it because it just, I don't know, it makes you feel better. But I don't know. Gotta be pretty tomorrow, though. Do they look even? Can't believe it's tomorrow. This morning, like about half an hour ago, I was discussing with everybody, and they said that it felt like my wedding day, and I was like, yeah, who's my groom? So it's like wedding day big for me.
Enjoy yourselves. The car will be down in R+2.
He's a bit of a queer and he wants to be a transsexual. So, to be honest, I don't like him. Never did. Hello. So, get out of it. So, I think he wants to be more of a woman than a fucking man, or gay.
It's a free world, isn't it? It's up to the general public to choose.
Oh. Oh.
Now stop shaking.
Can't.
Calm down.
Yeah.
It's all in the name of fun, remember? And we are going to have fun.
Yeah. Right, off we go.
Calm down. Breathe.
Do you want to see the dress?
Yes.
We'll just go get the dress.
There you go.
Yeah.
Okay.
For many critically ill Palestinians, this crossing is a tenuous lifeline. It's a passage to essential medical treatment in Israel. With Gaza blockaded, only a fortunate few are now able to get through here. Each day, several families turn up, hoping to collect their special travel permits. Permits that often mean the difference between life and death. The Israelis are sensitive about who and what is filmed here. These patients are desperate. According to the Israeli organization Physicians for Human Rights, patients from Gaza are increasingly asked to make an impossible choice: to become collaborators with Israeli intelligence or to remain in Gaza without medical treatment. Majed al-Mughalawi is crossing with his young daughter, who needs urgent treatment. He explains that a previous permit to get her to an Israeli hospital took 6 months to secure. For this family, at least, there's a ray of hope. Not so for 27-year-old Khitam Fuad al-Bashar. She's suffering from a life-threatening anemic condition. She had received permission to be transferred to an Israeli hospital, but that was before the interrogation.
وأنا ضليت نستنى أكثر من 3 ساعات. آخر إشي لما عبرت قعدت 3 ساعات هناك 2 ساعة في التحقيق. قعدوا يسألونا عن الشباب وعن المقاومة وعن هذا. حكيت لهم ما بعرفش حاجة وأنا إلي 8 سنين بعاني يعني بتابع في المستشفى و9 شهور كنت في المستشفى يعني ما أطلعش بالمرة. وكانت لما بعثوا لي التحقيق كانت حرارتي 40 وكنت تعبانة وكان دمي 3 يعني ما كنتش أقدر أمشي. وقعدت هناك 2 ساعات عندهم في التحقيق ويسألوني أسئلة وأنا مش عارفة يعني حاجة بالمرة. أعطوني القلم والورق وورقة وحكى أعطيني معلومات عن الفلان هذا وبنعبرك على إيرز عطول بدل ما ترجع يعني على غزة. حلفت له قلت له والله ما بعرف حاجة ولا إشي. رفضت. اللي هو مسك الورق قال أنت بتشتغل مع حماس ومسك الورق وقال لي ارجع على غزة.
I asked Hitam about her prospects of receiving the treatment she urgently needs.